Hello, we are from Group 2, and today we're going to do a presentation about job analysis and talent management process. I'm Arief, and my colleagues are Kevin and Axel. Okay, let's move on. So, first one, we're going to discuss about talent management process. Talent management process is the goal-oriented and integrated process of planning, recruiting, developing, managing, and compensating employees. So these are the steps of talent management process. First is to decide what positions to fill through job analysis, personal planning, and forecasting. Second is to build a pool of job applicants by recruiting internal or external candidates. Third step is to obtain applicant forms and perhaps have initial screening interviews. The fourth step is to use selection tools like tests, interviews, background checks, and physical exams to identify viable candidates. The fifth step is to decide to whom to make an offer. The sixth step is to conduct an orientation, train, and develop employees so they have the competencies to do their jobs. The seventh step is to appraise employees to assess how they're doing. And the last step is to compensate employees to maintain their motivation. However, these are the traditional view on talent management process. The current view on talent management process is to integrate some of its steps and to in order to achieve one goal. So now we're going to discuss about job analysis. Job analysis is the procedure for determining the duties and skill requirement of a job and the kind of person who should be hired for it. Job analysis produces information for writing job descriptions and job specifications. So the job descriptions and job specifications are the products of job analysis. So these are the uses of job analysis information. First one is for recruitment and selection process. So it provides information about job demand and the job and the human characteristic required for the process. Second one is for EEO compliance or known as equal employment opportunity and helps knowing a job's duties for determining whether a selection test is a valid predictor of success on the job. Third one is performance appraisal. So the comparison of an employee's actual performance of his or her duties with the job's performance standards. This comparison is provided by the job analysis. So next one is the compensation. Compensation depends on the job's required skill and education level, safety hazard, degree of responsibility. These factors, which I mentioned before, are assessed by using job analysis. So last is for training purposes. The job description lists the job specific duties and requisite skills which determines what training the job requires. So next is the 6 steps of job analysis. First is to identify the use. After by identify the use, uh, we could determine which data collection techniques to choose. Second is to review relevant background information. Uh, the purpose of this is to understand the job's context. The third one is to select representative position. Uh, in this case, the manager generally selects a sample of positions to focus on. For actually analyzes the job, which includes greeting each job holder, briefly explaining the job analysis process, interviewing the employee to get a basic summary of the job, identifying the job's broad areas of responsibility, and identify specific duties or tasks. The fifth one is to verify the job analysis with the worker performing the job. We do this in order to confirm the job analysis information that we did. The last step is to develop a job description and job specification. So Next, we're going to discuss about the methods for collecting job analysis information. First one is to by conducting an interview, which is a simple and quick way to collect information. However, sometimes a distortion of information may occur, and the next step is and the next tech method is to use questionnaire. How it works is to ask employees to fill out questionnaires to describe their job duties and responsibilities. Next one is to conduct an observation. Managers observe the workers on the job during a complete work cycle. While observing the workers, managers take notes of the job activities. Next is participant diary or logs. Managers ask workers to keep diary or log. The employee record the activity they are engaged in. Some firms give employees pocket dictating machines and pagers. Next method is the quantitative job analysis techniques. In some cases, qualitative techniques may not be suitable for the analysis, and therefore quantitative techniques is needed. This technique includes the position analysis questionnaires or the PAQ and the Department of Labor approach. Next one is to use online job analysis. The Human Resources Department generally distribute standardized job analysis questionnaires to geographically dispersed employees online with instructions to complete the form and return them by a particular date. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about writing job descriptions. So job description is a written statement of what the worker actually does, how he or she does it, and what the job's working conditions are. So these are the content of a job description, which includes job identification, job summary, responsibilities and duties, authority of incumbent, standards of performance, working conditions, and last is job specification. The next will be continued by my colleague Kevin.
So let's start about writing job specification. In writing job specification for employees is relatively straightforward. Here you must specify qualities such as physical trait, personal interests, or sensory skills that imply some potential for performing the job or for trainability. In writing job specification, we can use based on statistical analysis. This procedure has 5 steps. First one is analyze the job and decide how to measure job performance. Second, select personal trait like finger dexterity that you believe should predict performance. Test candidates for these traits. And then fourth, measure these candidates' subsequent job performance. 5. Physically analyze the relationship between human trait. These procedures aim to determine statistically the relationship between human trait and some indicator to creation of job effectiveness. In the job requirement matrix, the main step is the create job requirement matrix involve writing the task statement. Each task statement describes what the worker does on each of main job duties, separate job tasks, and how the worker does it. In using competency model, many employers are therefore using different job analysis approach. Instead of listing the job duties, they list in competency model or profile the knowledge, skill, and experience some needs to the job such model or profiles. And then how to write it's Competency based job analysis describe the job in terms of measurable, observable, behavioral competency, but instead of compiling lists of job duties, your aim is to finish the statement code. In order to perform this job competently, the employee should be able to code. So in a good competency statement includes three elements. The first one, the name and brief description of the competency, such as project management, creating accurate, effective project schedule. And then the second one, the description of the observable behavior that represent proficiency in the competency, such as continuously manage project risk and dependency by making a timely decision. The proficiency level, for example, for project management, how to then let's start with workforce planning and forecasting. And then for workforce or employment or personnel planning is the process of deciding what position the firm will have to fill and how to fill them. Its aim is to identify and to eliminate the gaps between employers and projected workforce needs and the current employees who might be suitable for filling those needs. The strategy and workforce planning should be integrated part of the firm strategic planning process. Here, manager will usually need three set of employment forecasts. First is personal needs or demand, and then the supply of inside candidate, and then the supply of outside candidate. And then the basic process of forecasting personnel needs is first you can by forecast the revenue, and then the second then estimate the size of the steps required to support this sales volume. This include project turnover, decision to upgrade or downgrade the product or service, productivity change, financial resource, and then decision to enter or leave the business. The basic tools for projecting personnel needs include trend analysis, ratio analysis, and the scatter plot. Forecasting the supply of inside candidates, most firm start with possible inside candidate. The main task here is determining which current employee are qualified or trainable for the project openings. And then the forecasting the supply of outside candidate is won't be enough skill inside candidate to fill the anticipated opening. Forecasting workforce availability depends on first on the manager's own sense of what's happening in his or her industry and local. The manager then supplements such observation with formal labor market analysis. And then matching supply and demand with a plan. This plan should identify the position to be filled, and then second, potential internal and external candidate or source, and then third, the training and promotion moving people into the position will entail, and then fourth, the resource that implementing the plan will require, and then succession planning. Succession planning involves developing workforce plan for the company top position. Succession planning is the ongoing process of systematically identifying, assessing, and developing organizational leadership to enhance performance. And then why effective recruitment is important. Employee recruiting means finding and or attracting applicants for employers' open position. For assessing which source is the best, most employers look at how many applicants the source generates. However, quality doesn't necessarily mean quality. Other effectiveness metrics should include for each source how many of its applicants were hired, how well its applicants performed on the job, and how many failed and had to be replaced, and applicants' performance in terms of trainings, absence, and turnover.
Okay, guys, going into the next section of the chapter would be the internal sources of candidates. So, these candidates are from the organization itself. They're already part of the organization, and they are to be assigned into a new position, a job position in the organization. How this can be achieved is through job postings, which can be posted on the bulletin boards or maybe even spread out through managers, supervisors, or even groups that have been created within the organization itself. The advantages to this is that the strengths and weaknesses of a candidate is already identified through their prior work in the organization. So we already know what they are good at, what they lack in, what their habits are. So we can find the best suitable candidate for the position. Higher change of commitment and morale is the second one. Since it is their own intention to apply for the new position, so they would be more likely to have a high morale and be more committed into working there. And lower salaries compared to external parties. Another advantage is that we would not need the cost of recruiting externally. Drawbacks to this is that it limits the range of new perspectives and obtainment of new skills. Since there will be no new employees, it will already be the current employees just assigned to a new position. So there will be the same range of perspectives, the same range of skill sets within the organization. And there's also potential conflict among employees if they get rejected for the new position. So they might have low morale, or they might have mixed feelings towards the recruiter or even their colleagues that got the job. Now it's recruiting to improve employee engagement. How we can improve the internal employee engagement here is we can implement a compensation or reward system, which is similar to the chance for promotions as well. Since they will be rewarded or be promoted through their work, they would be more motivated to work harder and to raise the quality of their work to increase the chances of getting rewarded or promoted. And seek to benefit the employee, and the employee will more likely want to benefit you. If the employee feels like he is being prioritized, then there's a high chance that he will also prioritize the organization as a whole. So it's important to consider that. Now, it's the outside sources of candidates. Where and how to recruit. First one is informal recruiting and hidden job markets, which is usually job openings that are not disclosed to the public. Only a certain few are aware of the information, and that is through networking or internal parties of the organization reaching out to people. And this is really where connections come through, because people with connections are usually the ones that are aware of the job opening. Next is recruiting via the internet, which is a common method now, one of the most common methods nowadays, I guess, since there are many websites, especially company organization websites, that look to recruit through their website, and even recruitment websites such as loker.com, for example. Lowonkerja.com is a website in Indonesia that people go to if they want to look for a job opening. Recruitment software and AI is used to analyze the candidates, potential candidates, and to ease the selection process, since they will only provide the information on candidates that really do fulfill the criteria that they are searching for. Advertisements are more flexible compared to the via the internet method, even though it could be via the internet as well, but we can also look for advertisements in billboards or even the organization offices, certain stores, or being spread out in public. Employment agencies is not a common practice in Indonesia, I guess, since I have not heard or seen any employment agencies here. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in countries such as America, it is very common that people who have a hard time finding a job themselves go to employment agencies to seek out a job, and they will provide choices on what kind of jobs are open and what jobs that we fulfill the criteria for. Now, these are the outsourcers, so the recruiters that do the recruiting for us. So, first one is on-demand recruiting services, which is short-term specialized recruiting. It could be a short-term contract or just per project, a recruitment for a certain project. It is paid by the hour per project, and they handle the recruiting, analysis, and pre-screening. So we just get the final product, which is the candidate itself. Next one is offshoring and outsourcing jobs, which is the organization seeking out another company that supplies human resource to work in our companies. But due to that, the quality is more assured, since the other company doesn't want to, I guess, ruin their reputation. So they will only provide good quality human resources. The difference between outsourcing and offshoring is that outsourcing is just from a different company, from maybe within the country or area, and offshoring, it is from a company from overseas. Executive recruiters are also known as headhunters, but only a very, very few organizations use them, because they're only used to seek out the best of the best. So maybe only to potentially seek out a person that fulfills an opening in a high position in the company. So if it's not for a high position, usually they are not used. Referrals and walk-ins are people that fulfill the job opening through the referral of usually someone that is very influential to the company, that allows them to get like a free pass to become an employee. College recruitment is also a very common practice that organizations use. In FEB-UGM, we can see such organizations such as PwC, EY, Deloitte, Unilever. They usually come to FEB and they advertise and tell us to apply. Even if we don't meet the requirements, they tell us to apply anyways. And then they go through the selection process and they will notify us if we go through. And what usually happens is that we are offered internships. And if we go through the internship and they evaluate us that we did well, then there's a possibility that we will get offered straight to become a part of their organization. Military personnel. I don't think this really applies for Indonesia, but in the United States, the government actually has a program that helps out military personnel that no longer serve the military to find jobs if they want to find a regular job. Recruiting diverse workforce. So this is something that is enforced by employment laws. So we must not diversify against people like such as single parents or elderly people, minorities, and handicapped people. If they want to apply for a job, as long as they fulfill the requirements. And here are the guidelines for obtaining application information. So first one, it's important to collect essential background information regarding the candidate in accordance to the job position offered. For example, the need for prior audit experience for a person applying for the internal audit division, or also um, um, another example would be the number of laws committed, or if you wanted to be a law enforcer. The second one is to be concise on the prerequisites or requirements that will allow you to assess all the necessities. Does he fit the bill? Is he suitable for the job? Um, does he have the experience? Does he have the education for it? All that stuff, and it has to be judged objectively. And of course, it must be in accordance to the employment laws. Okay, so that's all for our presentation. Thank you guys for your time and attention, and we'll see you in the discussion round.